Okay, so this is going to be a type of ladder test for my 303 British. We're working up loads, and we're also testing Winchester primers versus Federal primers. So let's get to it. Gotta do this quick anyway. Well, that was a failure. So let's take a look at the chronograph here, and this is with the Winchester primers. And this is going to be a little bit backwards because this is the maximum charge. And you can see we maxed it out at a little over 2,200 feet per second. Then this is the minimum charge. And then when we switch string, we'll be going to Federal primers, which sadly I'm all out of. And you can see it maxed out at 2,300. But let's go ahead and graph this data. So, there we go, and that'll be good enough. So, you can see kind of the weirdness here, and this is a very large sample. But I'm very low on primers, so we're just rolling with it. So we can see here with Federal match primers, we started off roughly around 2150. Actually, it's 2150 right on the dot. But then it actually dropped down, went up, and then it kind of stabilized. So from here, we would assume that the best groups, or at least the most consistent groups, would be somewhere within this range, this 2 grain range. That's very narrow, but I'm noticing a lot of the data for benchmark is like that. Now, Winchester match is kind of almost opposite to begin with, but again, near the top here is where we have a little bit of stabilization, but we do see that it does go up, then down, oddly enough. And even at the max charge, the 36.4, we saw some overpressure signs. So what I decided to do arbitrarily is I noticed that there's this coincidence right around 2250, that there's almost an overlap. So I'm gonna work around this, and actually I'm gonna add just a little bit more, just in case. Reason being, just kind of the whole OCW load thing. Sometimes you add just a little bit more just to see how things work out. But this is just a complete stab in the dark. We're gonna test one group, we're gonna see how it is, and we're gonna have to use the Winchester match primers. One thing I want to add though is that 2250, the most consistent group with stable 6.5, and also my most accurate group with 3031 IMR 3031 is actually around this velocity as well. So compared with all the other data that I know about, this is interesting. So we're going to aim for roughly about there. So let's see how it goes. This is the ladder test, quote unquote, that I just fired. And this is benchmark, which isn't really listed, if I remember right, with 303 British. Oh man, wow, look at how dirty that is. And usually that's clean. That's probably why they don't really list it in this powder. It's because, oh, this one's noticeably a little bit more clean. However, you can definitely tell We're getting up there in pressure. Not just because of the incipient case head separation, but also because the flattened primer. So, and God, for both of these, the speed wasn't very much. Then again, it's not necessarily about the speed, sometimes it's about the accuracy. A 174 grain bullet going 2,000 feet per second is still, that's a lot of something. Anyway, so look at this. This is the minimum charge I used, which I'll put up in editing, and you can see that's almost too light of a strike, and it's for both. This was just shy of 2,000 feet per second. This was noticeably quicker, but still, focus. Very gentle. Here's where we're starting to look rather normal, and by up to here, we see some primer flattening. Just some. But by the time we get here, this is definitely the maximum that we'd ever want to go. Not that we'd usually want to go there anyway. This brass was at the very end of its life, so it's going to get pitched. I am not surprised that we had this happen. I'm actually okay with that. Hey, at least it didn't actually separate. And at least we know we need to toss it now. So, I still have plenty more tests to run. So let's get to it. Managed to sneak out here just for a quick moment. Looks like we have another couple hours of storm-free weather this weekend. And this is going to be the last video I do about benchmark with 303 British. This is just for funsies. I went ahead and loaded up 3 at 35.8 grains. I'll probably explain why in the editing, but the next video is going to be about, well, the next part of this video rather, I meant to say, is going to be about how big of a group they shoot. So let's get to it. And here we go. Here's our load of benchmark 35.8 and 303 British. That's not terrible, but that's nothing to write home about. That's about the same as what I got with Stayball 6.5. Yes, I realize this is the only 3-shot group I ever fired with it, but, you know, we already saw that to get halfway decent velocities out of it, we were getting overpressure signs. And not only that, like, look at case neck. It's very dirty. It is not burning clean. So there's a reason why they don't list benchmark for 303 British, at least on the Hodgdon's online reloading center, because apparently they didn't have good luck either. But primer's still okay. So that really sucks. I mean, I was really hoping I was going to be kind of a cure-all. And yes, I realize this is very unscientific, but I still just wanted to see. It was really more of a guesstimate than anything else. But this, I mean, it shoots acceptably. Could we get better performance? Probably, but I think it would be a waste of powder at this point. Waste of powder, waste of bullets. I did bring out some of my test for the Enduron 4166, however. Let's see how those do. Apparently I have some of the early morning coffee jitters because I do have a flyer up there. But otherwise, this is Enduron 4166. This is just a minimum charge. And let me tell you, this also kicked a heck of a lot harder. The starting velocity is around 2300, which is faster than even what we clocked this charge with benchmark with. And this is pretty close to the maximum charge. Gotta block the wind. Have a slight sprinkle coming in soon, but we still have enough time to fire off the 7mm we're finally going to do. So let's go do that.